finished watching not The Boys, but The Hustle from 2019. So I figured, I was like, what else can I talk about? I don't know. Movies that I've seen over the past few months. So a couple of them that I saw was James Bond. What was it? I think it's on Amazon Prime. And so my dad started watching some of them, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, like, because they're on, and because I remember, like, you had read the books, and I was like, that's really cool. So I definitely prefer, I think it's Daniel Craig's version of James Bond movies, simply because from what I can tell, what I'm guessing, is that it's definitely a lot closer to the books, because the books in general can be a lot more intricate and tell a lot more details naturally, but then also have a really good storyline and have character development and all that. And I think Daniel Craig is a good idea. From what I can tell, he has all of that. Yeah. At least in the movies that he's played in for James Bond. So, anyways, I was watching, I think it's Thunderball? It's the one with Sean Connery. And so, in one case, he ends up going swimming out with one of the ladies. And then after they get out of the water, he ends up having sex with her in the water. And then after he gets out of the water, he reveals that, hey, I need your help, and your brother's been killed. And she starts crying and becomes upset, and he goes ahead and puts on his sunglasses. And it reminded me of you, and I'm like, okay, I wonder if that's where you got it from. Or basically, whenever you feel insecure or something, you go ahead and put on your sunglasses. And I was like, that is really kind of, cool. So, especially with that similarities. So, anyways, I just wanted to let you know about that. I'm just going to go through these as I think about it or talk about it. So I watched Star Trek Picard. That one I thought was actually good. And it made a lot of the shows, or some of the shows that I've seen, a lot more sense. So like Stargate Continuum? Yeah, Stargate Continuum. And then also some of the shows where you see people have a lot of baggage and they haven't dealt with it. And like they treat people a certain way or they react a certain way, and I'm like, wow, these people are not healthy, like not mentally sound or sane. I'm like, I don't get it. What is going on? So finally, watching Star Trek Picard, it sort of meshed and melded everything really nicely up in a bow. And I mentioned that because in Star Trek Picard, anyways, in Star Trek Picard, he goes ahead and he basically they each have their own undealt demons, and then as the series goes on, they end up dealing with their own personal demons, which I'm like, yes, finally, that makes so much sense. That because they have these undealt demons or like unresolved issues, and they just end up making more and more bad decisions, where it just ends up digging a deeper and deeper hole for them. And it's like, what? Oh, if my parents wake up, I have to go. So, but yeah, as Star Trek Picard goes on, like, it has sort of that unresolved issues and such. And then finally, like, closer to the middle endish, they go ahead and they finally resolve or like handle those issues, and it's like, good job, finally. Like, and it makes the other shows that I've seen, it makes sense now. And it's like, okay, they have unresolved issues and they keep making poorer and poorer choices because of those unresolved issues, instead of trying to actually make a good decision, even if it hurts. Like one of the ladies ended up killing someone, and she's like, okay, in return I'll go ahead and have sex with this guy. She's like, I have this superpower. She was telling this guy right before she has sex with him. She's like, yeah, I have this superpower where I can tell I'm about to make a bad decision right as or before I'm about to make it. And he's like, okay, and he sort of steps back, and she's like, forget it. And it's like, what? So then later on, I think her and Picard are talking, and Picard's like, "You need to turn yourself in." And so after a little while, she ends up turning herself in, or like saying, "Hey, I'll turn myself in." So yeah, that one, like, I liked it because it made so much sense, like, for the various shows that are out there. So I also watched Star Trek Discovery season 1 and 2. That one was actually good in my opinion. Like, both these were good. The only thing that I didn't like about Star Trek Discovery was that it seemed as though the technology was actually better than Star Trek the original, and then they also had various gadgets, and their technology was a lot more high tech than Star Trek original. And so watching that versus Star Trek original, you're kind of like, okay, there's definitely a huge difference between these. So in both of these, it was interesting, good, watching the contrast. And then Star Trek Discovery, they tried to sort of curve it into the direction of what it sounds like or what it would be for Star Trek original, which I'm glad that they did that. Otherwise, it's like, no, this does not make any sense. Flip the table. So, but yeah, Star Trek Discovery, basically they had not even screens. They had it where you can go ahead and holograms, like actual holograms, in order to talk to people. It's like, that's kind of cool, and they ended up banning them. So, due to Spock being accused of murder, and he didn't murder anyone, so yeah. But yeah, I liked it really good, well, and then at the very end is the song Blue Skies. I was like, that is such a pretty song. Turns out that the person who plays as the android / Data's daughter actually sings it, because she was actually, I guess, part of musical theater, and it's like, that's really, really cool. So yeah. What else was there? Star Trek First Contact. I finally watched that, and I thought it was interesting. I saw it years ago, probably around the time that it first came out, but I barely remember any of it. So thankfully, me and my dad were able to watch it again after years. We also, well, or at least I did, watch one of the other Star Trek movies. Let me see if I can find it. I also watched The Wrath of Khan, or The Wrath of Khan, which is like, okay, this is interesting. And then I was like, okay, where can I watch it whenever Captain Kirk ended up leaving them on the planet? And so thankfully that is in season 1 of Star Trek the original. I was like, yes! So I was able to see that. I thought it was good, from what I could tell. No, I don't even think I watched all of it. Yeah, I did. It was actually good. So, yeah, I liked it. What else? Search for Spock. I saw that one. I can't remember if it was recent or before. I watched the one where it was like a crossover between Star Trek Original and Star Trek, I think, The Next Generation. And that one, I liked. Star Trek Generations, there it is. That one, I remember watching like bits and pieces of it, but I hadn't seen all of it, and I thought it was good. Star Trek First Contact, I saw that one. It was good. It wasn't corny. It was well developed. I liked the fact that they had this very famous African American actress, and she was in it, and she was just like freaking out like a normal human being would, and it's like, okay. And then in First Contact, you find out that they no longer have